Hey everyone, today we're going to learn how to be a moderator on our text team. Um, it's one of the most important roles you can play in the last 2 weeks of this campaign. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first off, a bit about me. My name is Jack. I'm one of the staffers here on our national text team. I hail from Boston originally, but have lived in Florida for a lot of my life and have been on this team for about 2 months now. So wherever you are, thanks for joining us. Thanks for doing this. It really is important. Okay, what are we going to cover? Well, first off, we're going to talk about why we do what we do. Then we'll talk about how to do it. We'll chat about some best practices and resources to get help, and then some next steps, and then we'll do questions. So today we're going to talk about a type of role on our moderator team. All of you will be moderators. The role that you'll play is called captain. What does that mean? Well, captains are the people who answer questions in our Slack channel, right? They're the first line of defense of help for texters. You've probably seen them already. So why do we do it? Well, texting is not always easy. People are gonna need help. I'm sure you've asked a question at some point already while texting. Having captains in the channel to make sure questions are getting answered is vital for a few reasons. One, captains will catch important flags. If there's a typo in our script, if the texting tool is not working, if something is generally amiss, captains are going to catch that information first. Next, and this is the most important reason, volunteer retainment, right? If people need to send text with us and they need help, if they ask a question and it's their first time, if they don't get help, chances they're going to ask, chances they're going to send text with us again, pretty low, right? Want to make sure that we're there helping folks out. And lastly, we have a pretty small staff team, so our captains are truly the face of the organization. Okay, let's talk about how to lead a shift. So with our program, we ask that you sign up for at least 3 shifts a week. It's about 3 hours total. Each shift is 1 hour, but you're more than welcome to sign up for more. We actually encourage it. Most folks give an average of about 5 hours a week to this program, but it's totally up to you. Some do more, some do less, but we ask for about 3 hours as the minimum. The shifts that appear in red on the sign-up sheet are the priority. There are our busiest hours where we're going to need the most people online. To sign up, you'll do so in our captain's spreadsheet in the staffing calendar part of it. You can sign up for a special in-training shift to let us know it's your first shift. There's nothing technically different about an in-training shift. It just lets us know that you might need a little extra help or have a few more questions. If all the in-training slots are filled up, don't worry, sign up for a normal slot. Also, we hold regular office hours with some of our lead moderators. Feel free to sign up for a shift during office hours so that you can try out moderating for the first time while on the phone with one of our leads. They'll help you get acquainted to it. Here's a screenshot of what the sign-in sheet looks like. It's pretty straightforward. I know it seems like a lot right now. On the top, we have the timestamps, right? And on the left-hand side, we have the role. Sign up for the captain or captain in training slots, wherever that big red arrow is pointing. Sign up in one of these slots. You can see the day at the top. This is Sunday the 18th. Here are the times and here are the types. Okay, this is important. If there are 2 things you take away from this training, it's this. Number 1, respond to questions in order. And number 2, use the emoji system. So what do those mean? Well, responding to questions in order means answering the question that has been waiting the longest first, right? A couple reasons. 1, that's just fair. Want to answer questions in the order that they came in. And number 2, it ensures that we're not skipping questions. So when you are on shift, every single time you answer a question, you'll want to make sure that the question you're about to answer is the question that has been waiting the longest, right? So go over to the text team channel, scroll up to whatever point we're at, and start there. It can be tempting to go over to the channel and see a really easy question that got asked 5 seconds ago and answer that one first. I know it's tempting. We really don't want to do that. Even if the question that's been waiting the longest is the hardest question you've ever seen, we want to answer that one first. If your response to that is, hey, let me check on that, or hey, I'm not sure, and then you're going to go find out, that's fine. We encourage that, right? I do that all the time. Let's say you didn't start with the question that's waiting the longest. Then other folks on shift would scroll up, see that you had answered a question out of order, and then assume that that was the question that had been waiting the longest. And then the gap of whatever you didn't answer gets lost and will remain unanswered. We want to avoid that at all costs. Next, use the emoji system. This is vital. I bet you're probably wondering, this is a big presidential election. This is really important. Why is he talking about emojis? I get it, right? It seemed a little weird, but the emoji system is how we claim questions. We do that for 2 reasons. Number one, it will let the person who asked the question know that someone has seen it and is responding to it. But really, it lets other captains on shift know that you're claiming that one, and that is your question to answer and no one else's. Right? Imagine if we didn't use that. It would be anarchy. Right? People would just be answering the same question 5 times. People would be doubling work. It would be crazy. Right? So we want to make sure we use the emoji system. I'm going to go into how to market, I promise. But just want to reiterate how important it is. The first thing you will do is star a question. Right? It says it on the screen. Star, save, research, reply. That is our motto. So want to star the question, save it in your Slack, find out the answer, and then respond. And like I said, if you're unsure of the answer to the question, that's fine. Star it, respond, and say, hey, let me check on that. And then ask for assistance in the mods channel. We ask that you don't tag in staff or lead moderators directly to a question in the text team channel. Reason being, if you do that, what can sometimes happen is the person who asked the question will then start DMing the person that you tagged in. And that's fine, we'll answer the question. Problem is, then questions and answers are living outside of the channel. A lot of questions in text team are repeat questions, and everyone else would benefit from having the answers there as well. And chances are someone is looking for the answer to the same thing. So making sure that our questions and answers all live in the public channel for everyone to see is really important. And lastly, if you get to a question that you want to answer, but someone beats you to the star, move on. That is not your question. Trust other moderators to handle the questions they've starred. If someone answers a question and you might not like the way they answered it, don't go ahead and duplicate work. We don't want to do that. Right? There are a lot of correct answers to questions, and there are a lot of different ways to answer them. That's fine. If an answer is completely wrong, let a lead moderator know. But please don't jump in and try to do work over someone else. That's not okay. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my Slack and answer a question so you can see exactly what I mean by all of this. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Now we're here on Slack. Let's go over to the text team channel. Here we are. So we're in text team and we're at the bottom. Now, a couple things. After this training is over, we'll show you how to set up Slack to best moderate and set up your notification preferences. Let's go through how to answer a question. So first things first, head over to the text team channel. Then you'll want to scroll up to find the question that has been waiting the longest. Here right now, we're actually all caught up, which is awesome. Hats off to our great moderators. You'll be able to tell if a question has been responded to by hovering over the star and seeing who started. If a moderator has started and you see that they've responded in this thread, you're good to go. That question is answered. Don't worry about it. Right? Let's say you hovered over the star and it was not a moderator who had started. That is an unanswered question. So I want to make sure that we're checking on who started, because sometimes non-moderators will start the questions, which is fine. That's totally cool. Just want to make sure that moderators are answering each question. Okay. Let's go up and let's find a question, and I'll walk through how to answer it. I'm not actually going to answer it because it looks like all of our questions are answered right now. So let's look here. Ooh, I think I see some questions coming in. A couple things I'll go over really quick while we're waiting for a question. The mods channel. This is what our mods channel looks like. When you do it, it might look a little bit different, but this is the channel where all of our moderators and staff live. If you need help, this is the place to go. The folks who answer your questions in the mods channel will be our lead mods. They are skilled folks who've done this for a long time, probably for other candidates in the past, and know the ins and outs of the program really, really well. Trust them. They're great people, and they'll really help you get acquainted to this. Okay. Oop, I already got beat to that question, but let's just go through it. So the first thing you want to do is star the question. To do that, you'll hover over the message. When you hover over the message, you'll see this menu pop up. To add an emoji, you'll click on the first one. It's that little smiley face with the plus, and it's called Add Reaction. Right, so hover over the question here. The menu will pop up. Click the first one. We use the star emoji. Now, the star is in my frequently used because I use it a lot. It'll be in your frequently used soon. It's legitimately just called star, though, so you can search it in the search box of the emoji window. Click it, and it'll add the star, just like that. Right, so let's do that again. Hover over a message, go to Add Reaction, and pick the star. That's step one. Right? Ooh, I'm going to start this one so I can make sure that I answer it. Oh my gosh. Everyone is starring everything. Okay, cool. I've got Lindsay's question. Right, sometimes that'll happen. Multiple moderators will star a question. That happens. Take your star off. The hope is that someone forgets to take their star off and answers the question, like happened here. So here's the question. How to respond to comment about not liking Kamala, so not voting. So we will want to answer this. To answer it, we're going to want to make sure we do that in a thread. Opening up a thread is a lot similar to adding a reaction. You'll hover over the message, and this menu bar will pop up again. Click the second one. It says Reply in Thread. That'll open up a thread on the right-hand side of Slack. A thread is a direct response to a message. Only the person who wrote the initial message or is part of the thread will get a notification. But if you don't thread it, the person who wrote the question will not get a notification. So threading is really important. Okay, now that we've started and we've opened up the thread, let's answer it. So Lindsay asked, so this person that Lindsay is talking to clearly is not a fan of Senator Harris, and so they don't want to vote. So the answer here is that they should just send the not voting reply and the doesn't like Kamala reply. So I could go ahead and write, send not voting reply, right? And that would be correct. That's kind of rude though, right? Want to make sure we're talking to folks in Slack like they're people, because they are. So I'm going to go, hey, Lindsay. Great question. Right. I thank Lindsay for the question. Talking like humans, right? Being respectful. Again, I could just write send the not voting reply and then hit send, right? But here's a tip. Like I said, every question in text team is a repeat question. It's been asked before. So I want to make sure Lindsay gets the correct information, but I also want to make sure that she does not ask the same question again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach a little bit. Great question. You can send the not voting reply and the doesn't like Kamala reply. That will address both concerns, and they are in both of those responses should always be in the response in the responses in through text. Use the search bar top of the replies section to quickly find those. Thanks. And I'm going to add an emoji. Just like that. We're good to go. Star, thread, respond. Now, this was an easy one because I knew the answer. Let's say I didn't know the answer to that question. What I'd want to do is I'd want to save this. Remember we talked about that? Star and save. So to save a message, what you'll do, same thing, hover over it. You'll see that menu pop up again. Right, let me find it in the text team channel here. Hover over it. That menu will pop up again. Click the fourth one. It looks like a little banner, like a little bookmark kind of thing, and it says save. Now I've added that to my saved items. What does that do? Well, in the top left of Slack over here, you'll see something that says saved items. Click on that. Now I've saved this message so I can find it at any time easily. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and get help. I'd head over to the mods channel and say, help. Right? I could just write help, but I want to make sure I'm letting people know what I need help on. So go back to your saved items, hover over this message, click the 3 dots. It says more actions. Click on copy link. That will copy the link to this message to your clipboard. Head over to the mods channel and paste it and send the message. Click on that. It'll take you right back to the message in the channel, so you'll never lose your place. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I don't actually need help and I don't want someone to try to help me. Saved items are great. I can even reply to the thread in the channel from my saved items by clicking reply to thread. To get back to the position of this message in the text team channel, I'm going to hover over the message here. I'm going to click this second one. It says jump. It looks like a hashtag with an arrow. It's going to take me right back to where the message was. Then, once I've got the information, I would respond and then remove it from my saved items. Bam, that easy. Okay. Let's talk about best practices, common scenarios, and how to get help. So, best practices. Remember to check your threads often, right? We respond to questions in threads, so you'll get your follow-up questions back from volunteers in threads as well. So make sure to check those often. You can do that in the top left-hand corner of Slack, right near the saved items. Next, do your best to know what our current assignments are, right? What kind of text are we sending? We'll always send out the list of campaigns for the day in the mods announcements channel. So look for it there. That will help you get really crucial context on what kind of messages we're sending. If someone asks a question in text team that is specific to a campaign, it's always a good idea to start the question by saying, hey, what campaign are you working on? Or hey, what assignment is this in? So you can get better context. Next, refer to existing replies when possible, right? Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. You don't have to write out a whole response every time, right? Like you saw me do, I didn't write out the responses that I was referring to. I just said, hey, use this response. You can find it in the through text replies, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Use what we have. And lastly, be patient with folks, especially those with the most common questions. I know that some of these questions are really, really basic, right? When someone asks, hey, is stop and opt out? I'm sure you might want to pull your hair out. I get that, I really do. The best thing to do is just be patient. There will also be times when you give someone the correct response and they'll come back and say, nope, there's no way that could be right. You're totally wrong. That is not what I'm talking about. I know that's frustrating. I do. Like I said, be patient. Okay, let's say you need help, whether it be while you're on shift or off shift. The first place to go is the captain's workspace. This is in a spreadsheet for our program. It's the one-stop shop for all written resources, guides, how-tos, and canned replies for captains. If you're looking for something, chances are it's in there. Next, check out our response library. You can find that in the captain's workspace. That has all of our approved replies that you're able to use and that texters will be able to see. So check that out if you're looking for a reply. Next, the mods channel. If you can't find what you're looking for in the captain's workspace or have a more complex question, ask it in the mods channel. Lastly, if something comes up and you need more personalized help, ask a lead moderator for help. Right? Like I said, these folks are pros of the game. They are great at this. They've done this a long time. And they are awesome resources and awesome friends. So definitely take advantage of that. You're welcome to DM staff. We're happy to respond. Chances are our responses might be a bit slower because we've got other stuff going on during the day. So if you need immediate help, post in the mods channel. It's your best bet. Okay, this is the most important slide in this training. There are a couple important things to remember when you are captaining, and these will apply greatly to our most common scenarios. Number one, we want to encourage texters. This is super important, and this flows into number two, build community. Right, texting is hard sometimes. Texting difficult lists and getting yelled at by Trump supporters, not fun. Right, want to make sure we're thanking texters regularly and making them feel wanted. Right, the stuff that they do is difficult. We send out so many texts, and like I said, getting nasty responses back is not fun. So I want to make sure people are feeling like we're grateful for their work, because we are. Next, number three here, help with difficult conversations. This is a big one, right? Want to make sure that we are having texters engage with folks who are persuadable. Don't engage with people who are definitely voting for Donald Trump. You're never going to win that argument, right? We'll talk more about that in a sec. Last goal here, direct them to the right resources, right? Our opt-out guide and through text user guide are really, really important. I know this is crazy, but every question that folks have can be answered by a thorough read of our guides. It's all in there. Okay, let's talk about the most common scenarios and how to apply these goals. So, where would you apply goal number one most frequently? Well, a pretty common question that gets asked is someone pops into text team and says, oh man, so many Trump supporters and wrong numbers and opt-outs on this list. I hate texting. Happens a lot, right? All the time. I'm sure that's getting posted right now. Like I said, texting is hard. We want to start out and say, hey, thanks so much for your work. We really appreciate it, and we know how difficult this can be. Just know that we're 2 weeks out from the most important election of our lifetime, and defeating Donald Trump is the number one priority. Also, by collecting those wrong numbers and opt-outs, that's really good data. We want to make sure we're cleaning our lists and making sure that we're not texting Republicans on election day, right? Stuff like that will really go a long way. Okay, number two, this is the most important one. helping people with those difficult conversations. So this happens when someone posts in text team, hey, this person asked me about a policy or a topic that we don't have a response for. What do I say? Now, this is a tough one. And it's going to take some context and it's going to take some learning, right? It's not an easy one. It is far and away the most common thing that gets asked, right? And there's a couple of things to remember. Number one, we only want to engage with those who are persuadable. There is no use in arguing with Trump supporters. That's not an argument you're ever going to win. I'm sure we've all argued with a Trump supporter in the last 4 years. Has it ever gone well? Really? Right? If someone is texting with us and they get a response back that is super hateful, asking that person like, hey, what issues are important to you? Not a good idea, right? That's never going to go to a positive place. There are persuadable people out there and we want to talk to them. Voters will also do something called sea lioning. It's where people trick you into thinking they're persuadable when really they aren't. They'll use phrases like, oh, well, I would vote for Joe Biden if, and then say some, horrifying conspiracy theory. Or you might be able to convince me to vote for Biden if blah, 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 right? Those people are not persuadable. They're just tricking you into an argument. So watch out for that. The best response that you can use is our issue not listed or issue other response. It says, hey, thanks for sharing that with me. I'm not too sure of the answer, but to find out the best information, you can check out joebiden.com, democrats.org, and email us at info@joebiden.com. And move on, right? Don't waste your time arguing with people who are not going to vote for Democrats. It's not a good use of time. Lastly, let's say someone asks a really easy question like, hey, is unsubscribe an opt-out? You want to direct them to the right resources. Let them know, hey, good question. That is an opt-out. Please go ahead and read our opt-out guide to learn the trickier ones. Right, because if someone is asking that question, chances are they're going to need more help. So send them the links to our guides as frequently as you deem fit. Okay, that's our training. Just want to thank everyone for being here. Really, really appreciate it. If you have questions, let us know. We've got a lot of written guides to help you through this journey. We know it can be stressful at first. I promise it's not that bad. I've done this for a decent amount of time now, and I can say that I have seen people start out in this moderator role and just realize things that they could do that they never thought they could do. So, cool. All right, folks. I'll end the training now. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you in the channel soon.